welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting on Channels Television live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Nigerian military rescues 200 girls and 93 women from Sambisa forest. 4 Nigerians have been executed by firing squad in Indonesia for drug offences. Senate passes 2015 budget, appropriates 4.9 trillion naira for the fiscal year. And death toll from Nepal's earthquake exceeds 5,000 as the United Nations estimates that about 8 million people have been affected. You can read up more on our top stories or on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channels, where you can watch our videos. You can also visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device and download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows phones from their respective stores. We also encourage you to please interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android, iOS, and Windows 8 platforms. So if you have pictures or videos you'd like to share with us, tap the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and follow the instructions. Speaking of Eyewitness, here are a few pictures sent in by our reporters on the field. To begin with this one sent in from Ozoro in Isoko North in Delta State, showing residents by a well getting water, which they say is not potable, and urging authorities to provide them with a good source of water. Our next picture comes from Ijebode in Ogun State, showing a heap of refuse. Our eyewitness reporter says had been stacked at Igbeda Road since last month's sanitation exercise. He's urging authorities to clear up the mess before it becomes any worse. From Isolo in Lagos comes this picture of traffic, which our eyewitness reporter says lasted 2 hours and was as a result of the bad state of road in Isolo Mushin area of Lagos. He is pleading with authorities to fix them. A big thank you to all our eyewitness reporters. Please keep the pictures coming. Channels Television appreciates you. Now, it's been a tragic day for 4 Nigerians who were today killed by a firing squad by the Indonesian government for drug offences. The executions had been scheduled for Wednesday, but were carried out today, despite pleas from the Nigerian government and the UN and Amnesty International for more time to appeal their sentence. Indonesia has a harsh punishment for drug crimes and resumed executions in 2013, following a 5-year gap. The 4 Nigerians had originally been sentenced between 1999 and 2004 for drug-related offences. They were Martin Anderson, who was found guilty of possessing 50 grams of heroin. The 50-year-old had travelled to Indonesia on a false passport and was reportedly shot in the leg during his arrest. 50-year-old Rahim Agbaje Salami was arrested in Surabaya with 5.5 kilograms of heroin and was initially handed a life sentence, which was later changed to one of death in 2006. In his appeal for clemency, he admitted knowing he was carrying drugs. Sylvester Obiekwe Molise was convicted for carrying over 1 kilogram of heroin in Indonesia. The 47-year-old was sentenced to death. According to his wife, he believed he was carrying tablets which he swallowed. The tablets contained goat horn powder for some Nigerian friends in Pakistan. There are allegations a bribe was sought to spare him a death sentence. Finally, 41-year-old Okwudili Oyantanze was found guilty of attempting to bring 2.5 kilograms of heroin through Jakarta in capsules inside his stomach. Last year, President Goodluck Jonathan had appealed to the then President Susilo Yudhoyono when he came visiting in March to grant a stay of execution for the Nigerians who had been on death row. He had even requested for an agreement on exchange of prisoners and legal assistance between the two countries. Last month also, Nigeria resumed her appeal when the Ministry of Foreign Affairs summoned the newly appointed Indonesian ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Harry Parwanto. The permanent secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Danjuma Sheni, had urged Indonesia to temper justice with mercy. But the Indonesian ambassador had said the death penalty in his country was done in a transparent, credible, and accountable manner, and that the country still recognized death penalty in its criminal justice system in some serious crimes including terrorism and narcotics. The federal government's appeals were closely followed by that of the UN Secretary-General's, Mr. Ban Ki-moon. The United Nations opposes the death penalty in all circumstances, and Mr. Ban, in a statement, urged President Joko Widodo to urgently consider declaring moratorium on capital punishment in Indonesia, with a view towards abolition. Governments of the other 4 nationals convicted had also pleaded with Australia, promising consequences if Indonesia went ahead with the executions. But by Saturday, the government gave formal notice to the 8 from Australia, Brazil, Nigeria, and the Philippines that they would be executed by firing squad imminently, along with an Indonesian prisoner. The Filipino convict, Mary Jane Fiesta Veloso, was spared after a request by the Philippine president after someone who allegedly framed her to carry heroin into Indonesia turned himself in the Philippines. Relatives of convicts were invited to say their final goodbyes today. Indonesia's actions may have been condemned in many countries. The country has some of the world's toughest drug laws, but Jakarta has justified this due to the country's drug problem, as according to Indonesia's National Narcotics Agency, 33 Indonesians die every day. We're taking now to our studio in Abuja, where our correspondent Linda Kigbe joins us with an interview with the Chairman House Committee on Diaspora, Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa. Hi, Linda.
Hello, Amarachi, and welcome to Abuja. Now, to discuss the execution of 4 Nigerians today in Indonesia, I'm being joined on the news at 10 by the Chairman, House Committee on Diaspora, Representative Abike Dabiri Erewa. You're welcome to the news at 10.
Thank you, and good evening.
Now, the news of the death by firing squad of the 4 Nigerians today in Indonesia, did it come to you as a surprise?
I'll say it was shocking, and for me, it was incredibly emotional, because I'm one of a delegation of 8, led by the then Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Joe Madueke, that actually visited these Nigerians in Indonesian prison. As at that time in 2008, there were 21 Nigerians on death row in Indonesia, and we led it, the minister led the delegation, which included the chairman NDLA at that time, and there was no dry eye as we left that room. It was incredibly emotional, and we also prayed for them and admonished them, you know. And there was a Nigerian guy there who was actually a graduate, and said, somebody gave me something and something, and it was instructive that once you land an Indonesian airport, in fact, every meter you see you carry drugs, a penalty for drugs is death. In fact, for every meter you take, it's on the wall, it's everywhere as you carry your baggage, as you walk, as you go to immigration. Penalty for drugs is death. So we spoke with them, we prayed for them, and it was, let me just say, incredibly emotional and hoping against hope. We met the Attorney General, we met the Deputy President, we met 2 other organizations, and they said that is the law of their land, and nothing will change it. That was in 2008.
And you said you were 21 Nigerians
on death row in Indonesia. 4. So 4 have been killed, 2 were killed before. So we have a few more Nigerians still to be killed in Indonesia for drugs.
Now, many have criticized the action of Indonesian government, Amnesty International, the EU. Do you share this sentiment?
Well, you know, it's about human lives here, and, you know, these people are dying. Many have criticized, and so have we. But it's the law of their land which carries death penalty. Some countries, even America, has death penalty. Some cases in Nigeria, death penalty is not something a lot of us support. But at this point in time, it's the law of Indonesia. And the president has made it clear. So we can just hope that maybe with more pressure from the international involved, maybe some of them can be lucky, the way the woman, the Filipino woman was lucky, and who knows. But I don't know the exact number of those on death row in Indonesia. They don't give us the number, but I know that we have 6 from 21. We still have more Nigerians to be killed in Indonesia.
So, but are you satisfied with the level of pressure which the international community and the Nigerian government put on the Indonesian government so far? You said you were there in the early 2000s. Are you satisfied with the pressure?
A lot more could be done, but you have a president who is saying this is the law. Australia, as you know, has recalled its envoy. But you know, Australia and Indonesia have had issues of political tension and history. There was a time Indonesia also recalled its envoy in Australia. So in the case of Indonesia and Australia, and they are neighbors, and with a population of almost 250 million in Indonesia, you know. So really, maybe more could be done. But let's stress the fact that this is the death penalty in Indonesia, and except they stop the death penalty. As long as there's the death penalty, I guess it might be difficult to do much.
But have there been efforts made by the Nigerian government, to secure the reprieve for Nigerians on death row in Indonesia and other countries?
Well, in Indonesia, like I said, I know that the then minister led a powerful delegation of 8 people, and they told us in clear terms that there's nothing they will do. The Indonesian president was in Nigeria, and I believe President Jonathan mentioned it in passing. After that, I'm not sure Nigeria did anything. And then both the House and the Senate did pass resolutions on this, appealing. But what we say in the Committee on Diaspora and the Parliament is that no Nigerian, if you're guilty of a crime and you face the loss of the land, you have to be punished for it. But we don't want any Nigerian who is not guilty of any crime to be punished or killed for offenses they did not commit. Apart from Indonesia, there are cases in other parts of the world where we're not so sure the Nigerians serving in those places deserve whatever penalties are being meted out to them. So, and as we say that, we also appeal to Nigerians that be careful what you do and be careful what goes on, because you have to obey the laws of the land. And we were worried that even after this 21 and the intervention of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, more Nigerians were actually caught in Indonesia for drugs. So we should also appeal to our young ones to obey the laws of the land, because it's not worth being killed or dying this way.
It's truly a sad situation today in Indonesia. Thank you very much, Representative Pt.2, for coming to the News at 10.
Thank you.
And now that's all from Abuja. Back to you, Amarachi.
Thanks a lot, Linda, our correspondent in Abuja, speaking with the Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Diaspora, Honorable Abike Dabiri-Erewa. And when the News at 10 returns, a federal government launches new accounting manual for public sector. Please join us again.